Princess Gia stood at the tall window of the royal tower, watching 3 moons rise over the mountains of Fevoure Prime. The smallest moon glowed pink, reminding her of the stories her father told about Earth's sunsets, stories about a planet she had never seen but whose blood ran through her veins. "Princess, the king requests your presence immediately," said a guard at her door. Gia nodded and smoothed her formal blue robe. She touched the small golden pendant at her neck, the only gift from her human mother who died giving birth to her. Taking a deep breath, she followed the guard through the long, glowing hallways of the palace. In the throne room, King Dai sat tall and regal. At his side stood Queen Hana, her blue skin flawless, her silver ice cold. Prince Su, Jia's half-brother, smirked from his smaller throne. "Father," Jia bowed, trying not to notice how tired he looked. His once bright silver eyes were now dull, and his blue skin had a gray tone that worried her. "The council meeting is tomorrow," King Da said, his voice weaker than it had been a month ago. "You will attend." Queen Hana's face tightened. "My king, is that wise? Her presence might upset the pure blood lords." "She is my daughter and of royal blood," King Da said firmly. Prince Hugh laughed. "Half royal blood. The other half is, what do they call humans on their home planet? Dirt walkers." "Earth walkers," Gia corrected quietly, keeping her face calm despite the insult. She had learned long ago not to show emotion the way humans did. Among the Fevoure, feelings were kept private, controlled. Her natural human tendency to express emotions was seen as a weakness. King Day raised his hand for silence. "Enough. Ja will attend as my representative." "I am." He paused, coughing, not well enough to sit through the full session. Queen Hana placed her hand on the king's shoulder. "All the more reason Prince Su should represent you. The council respects strength, and the princesses. Differences make many uncomfortable." By differences, Ja knew the queen meant her height, shorter than pure Fevoure, her rounded ears, and her skin that was lighter blue than the royal family's deep azure tone, small things that marked her as not fully Fevoure. "The law is clear," King Da said. "Until formal succession, both my children have equal standing. Ja will attend." Later, as servants prepared Jia for the council meeting, she heard raised voices from the king's chamber. She slipped away, following the sound. "Can't let her gain support," Queen Hana was saying. "If the old fool dies before we secure Su's position." "Mother, she has no allies," Su replied. "Who would support a half-human for the throne?" "The ancient law gives any royal child the right to challenge for the crown if the succession is not formalized before death. Some of the outer systems might support her just to weaken the central planets." Gia pressed against the wall, her heart beating fast. "Then we remove the problem," Su said coldly. "The diplomatic mission to Colony 7. "Yes," Queen Hana agreed. "Far from the capital, near the restricted zones where accidents happen." Gia backed away silently. Her father was dying. Poisoned, she now suspected, and her stepmother planned to kill her before she could claim her birthright. In her room, Gia looked again at the distant moons. She had 3 days before the mission to Colony 7. 3 days to plan, to find allies if any existed, to prepare for the trap she must somehow walk into and survive. She touched her mother's pendant. Humans were considered weak by the Fevoure, with their short lives and strong emotions. But her father had always told her that her human blood gave her something the Fevoure lacked: adaptability, creativity, and a fire that pure Fevoure could never understand. She would need all of those qualities now, if she hoped to live. The royal ship glided through space, its sleek silver hull reflecting distant stars. Inside, Princess Gia sat alone in her quarters, reviewing data about Colony 7 on her tablet. For 3 days, she had searched for allies in the palace, but found none. Everyone feared Queen Hana too much to help. "We will reach Colony 7 in 2 hours, Princess," Captain Taz said through the room's speaker. He was the head of her guard, a tall Fevoure with perfect military posture. "Thank you, Captain," Jia replied, noticing the slight coldness in his voice. She had studied the crew list carefully and found that all 6 of her guards had been personally selected by Queen Hana. Jia opened a small hidden pocket in her suit and checked the emergency beacon her father had given her years ago. "If you are ever in true danger," he had told her, "this old human technology may save you when Naveri tech fails." It was her only hope now. A soft beep from her tablet warned of an incoming message. It was from her father, marked private. "Asterisk, my daughter. Be careful. Trust no one on this mission. I have proof that Hana has been poisoning me slowly. Return quickly. I have changed my will to name you heir, but need you here to make it official before it is too late." Asterisk. Jia's heart raced. Her father knew. But this message also meant Queen Hana would be even more desperate to stop her from returning. The ship suddenly shuddered. The lights flickered, then turned red. "Engine malfunction," announced the ship's computer. "Emergency systems activated." Jia grabbed her small emergency pack and slipped the beacon into her pocket. This was happening sooner than she expected. She pressed the door control, but it remained locked. "Captain Tai," she called through the communication system. "The door is locked." No answer. Jia heard footsteps in the hallway outside her room. Using a small tool from her pack, she opened the control panel beside the door and rewired it. A human trick her father had taught her that most Naveri would consider beneath them to learn. The door slid open to reveal Captain Tai and 2 guards, weapons drawn. "This is unfortunate, Princess," Captain Ta said. "The ship is experiencing catastrophic engine failure. We need to abandon ship." "Of course," Jia said calmly, though her heart pounded. "Let's go to the escape pods." "This way," said the captain, gesturing down the hallway. Jia followed, counting steps and turns. They were not going toward the main escape pods, but to the cargo area. As they passed an intersection, she glimpsed the other 3 guards heading toward the real escape pods. "Captain, the escape pods are in the other direction," she said. Captain Ta smiled coldly. "Smart princess, but not smart enough." He raised his weapon. Jia ducked just as he fired, the energy blast hitting the wall behind her. She kicked hard at his knee, a human fighting move considered dishonorable among Naveri warriors, and he fell with a shout of pain. The other guards fired. One blast grazed Jia's arm, burning through her suit. She ran down a side hallway, hearing their heavy footsteps behind her. The ship rocked violently again. "Hull breach in Sector 4, announced the computer. 5 minutes to complete system failure. Jia reached the secondary escape pod section. Behind her, she heard Captain Ta shout, "Don't let her reach the pods." An energy blast hit her in the back, the impact throwing her forward. Pain spread across her abdomen as she fell into the nearest escape pod. Blood, redder than pure Naveri blood because of her human half, soaked her suit. With shaking hands, Jia hit the launch sequence. The pod door sealed just as the guards reached it. Through the small window, she saw Captain Tay's angry face as the pod detached from the ship. Her vision blurred as the pod accelerated away. Through the window, she saw the royal ship explode, bright against the blackness of space. The pod's computer beeped, showing their course, an unplanned trajectory toward a nearby planet. Warning: entering restricted zone. Human colony detected. Jia pressed her father's beacon as darkness crept into her vision. Her last thought before unconsciousness took her was that she might die, but at least it would be on a human world, the half of her heritage she had never known. Jin hiked through the dense forest of Nova Terra, breathing in the crisp mountain air. Early morning sunlight filtered through the tall trees as he tracked the footprints of a rare 6-legged elk. As a wilderness guide in this remote region of the human colony, he spent most days alone, which suited him fine. 5 years as a military medic during the border conflicts had left him with little desire for company. Out here, far from the colony's main settlements, he found peace. A sudden bright light in the sky caught his attention. Jin watched as something fell through the clouds, trailing fire and smoke. "That's no meteor," he muttered, pulling out his binoculars. The object was metallic and clearly designed, some kind of small spacecraft. It crashed beyond the next ridge with a distant boom that echoed through the valley. Jin hesitated. Colony rules were clear. Report any off-world technology immediately. The human colonies existed in an uneasy peace with the powerful Navari Empire, who considered this sector their territory, despite allowing a few human settlements to remain. But the nearest outpost was 2 days' walk away, and whoever was in that craft might need help now. His medical training wouldn't let him ignore a possible emergency. Jin adjusted his pack and headed toward the crash site. An hour later, he crested a hill and saw a trail of broken trees, leading to a small silver pod, half buried in soil and smoking slightly. "Hello," he called, approaching cautiously. "Anyone alive in there?" No answer. The pod's door had been forced open by the impact. Jin peered inside and froze. A slender, blue-skinned figure laid unconscious, strapped to his seat. Blood soaked the front of her suit, oddly reddish for a Navari, whose blood was typically deep purple. "A Navari. Here," he whispered. Then he noticed her features. Though blue-skinned like all Navari, her ears were less pointed, her frame smaller. And that blood color. Half-human, Jin realized. He had heard rumors of rare mixed heritage people, but had never seen one. Medical training took over. Jin checked her pulse. Weak but steady. A serious wound crossed her abdomen, where some kind of energy weapon had hit her. Without treatment, she would die. "Not on my watch," Jin said firmly. He carefully freed her from the seat and laid her on a clear patch of ground. From his pack, he pulled out a medical kit and cut away the burned fabric around her wound. The injury was severe, but his battlefield experience had prepared him for worse. Jin worked quickly, cleaning and treating the wound with antiseptic gel and synth skin patches. He attached a small medical monitor to her wrist, watching her vital signs stabilize. While working, he noticed her clothing, expensive, with symbols he recognized from his military days. Royal insignia. "Who are you?" he wondered aloud. "And why did someone try to kill you?" The woman remained unconscious as Jin rigged a stretcher from the pod's materials. His cabin was 3 hours away, the closest safe place. Authorities would ask too many questions, and he wasn't ready to turn her over to officials who might not have her best interests in mind. As he prepared to move her, the woman's eyes fluttered open briefly. Silver eyes with hints of brown, a human trait. She whispered something in the Navari language before losing consciousness again. Jin didn't understand the words, but the fear in her voice was clear in any language. Someone wanted this woman dead, and they might still be looking for her. He glanced at the sky, half expecting to see search ships already. This area was rarely patrolled, but a Royal Navari escape pod would trigger alarms somewhere. "Don't worry," Jin told the unconscious woman as he carefully lifted the stretcher. "I got you." The irony wasn't lost on him. A former human soldier helping a Navari royal, when the Navari had been behind the border conflicts that had cost him so many friends. But medicine didn't care about politics or species. As he started the long trek back to his cabin, Jin wondered what trouble he was bringing home with him. But he didn't regret his decision. Saving lives was what he did, no matter where they came from. Jia woke to the sound of crackling fire. Her body felt heavy, and pain throbbed across her stomach. She blinked, trying to focus. Wooden walls, a ceiling made of rough logs, the smell of something cooking. This was not a Navari medical chamber. Memory rushed back. The ship, Captain Tay's betrayal, the escape pod, and then darkness. She tried to sit up but gasped as pain shot through her abdomen. "I wouldn't move yet if I were you," said a voice. Jia turned her head to see a human man stirring something in a pot over a small stove. He was tall for a human, with short dark hair and tanned skin. His face showed concern, not threat. "Where am I?" Jia asked, her voice raspy. My cabin. Nova Terra Outlands. You crashed your pod 2 days ago. The man poured liquid into a cup and brought it to her. I'm Jin. Former medic. Current hermit. Gia stared at the cup, not taking it. It's just tea, Jin said. If I wanted to hurt you, I would have left you in that pod. Reluctantly, Gia took the cup. The warm liquid soothed her dry throat. You're Naveri royalty, right? Jin asked. Those markings on your suit. Royal house. Gia's eyes widened. This primitive human recognized royal insignia. I served during the border conflicts, Jin explained, seeing her surprise. Learn to identify Naveri symbols. But your blood, it's not pure Naveri, is it? My mother was human, Gia said stiffly. She had never admitted this to anyone outside the palace. My father is King Dai of the Naveri Empire. Jin whistled softly. That explains why someone tried to kill you. My stepmother, Gia confirmed. Queen Hana. She wants my half-brother to take the throne when my father dies. Politics, Jin said, shaking his head. Same everywhere. I guess, royal or not, you need rest. That wound was bad. Another day or two, and you can move around. Gia looked around the small cabin. It was primitive by Naveri standards, wood and stone instead of metal and synthetic materials. No technology visible except for a small communication device on a shelf and the medical monitor attached to her wrist. I need to contact my father, she said. I must return to Naveri Prime immediately. Not possible, Jin said simply. That device can't reach off-planet. Nearest spaceport is 4 days' journey. And you can't travel in your condition. You don't understand, Gia insisted. My father is dying. Poisoned. I must get back. With respect, Princess, you nearly died too. Try to stand now, and you'll reopen that wound. Gia wanted to argue, but knew he was right. She felt weak, drained. Then I am your prisoner, she said bitterly. Jin laughed. No, you're my patient. Big difference. He returned to his cooking, giving Gia time to look around more carefully. Through a window, she saw a small garden. Tools hung neatly on walls. Everything was simple but well made. How did you learn medical skills? She asked finally, curiosity overcoming pride. Military training, Jin said. Then battlefield experience. Not the best teacher, but effective. He brought her a bowl of soup. This time, Gia took it without hesitation. The flavors were strange but good. The Naveri reports say humans are primitive, Gia said. That you lack proper science and culture. Jin raised an eyebrow. Do I seem primitive to you? You live in a wooden box in the forest, Gia pointed out. By choice, Jin replied. I could live in the city. I prefer it here. He lifted a wooden figure from a shelf, a small animal carved with incredible detail. I made this. Is art primitive? Your wound. I treated it with medicine I made from local plants. Is that primitive? Gia had no answer. Her education had taught her that humans were inferior. Yet this man had saved her life using skills her own people might not possess. Rest now, Jin said, taking her empty bowl. Tomorrow, if you are stronger, we can talk about getting you home. But remember, whoever tried to kill you might still be looking. For now, this primitive cabin might be the safest place in the galaxy for you. Gia closed her eyes, confusion and new thoughts swirling in her mind. Nothing here matched what she had been taught about humans. Nothing at all. A week passed in Jin's cabin. Gia grew stronger each day, moving from bed to chair, then taking short walks outside. Jin taught her about earth plants and animals that now lived on Nova Terra. She found herself interested despite her royal training. One evening, as Jin cooked dinner, his communication device buzzed. He answered, keeping his voice low, but Jia's Naveri hearing caught every word. Jin, it's Hyun. Strange signals coming from orbit. Military channels are buzzing. Naveri ships entered our space. Jin glanced at Jia, who pretended not to listen. How many? Jin asked. Small scout ship. They claim to be searching for a missing royal craft. Jin, they're heading toward the outlands. Your area. Jia's heart beat faster. They were looking for her. Thanks for the warning, Jin said. Stay safe. He ended the call and turned to Jia. Your people are looking for you. Not my people, Jia corrected. Queen Hana's assassins. They want to finish what they started. Jin sat across from her. Then we need to move. This cabin isn't hard to find if they have good scanners. We? Jia asked, surprised. I didn't save you just to hand you over to killers, Jin said simply. He pulled out a map and pointed to a location. There's an old mining tunnel system here. The mineral deposits block most scans. We can hide there while I contact some people I trust. Jia studied his face. Why help me? I am Naveri, your enemy. You're half-human too, Jin reminded her. Besides, I don't choose enemies by their species. Before Jia could answer, a small alarm beeped. Jin rushed to the window. Perimeter alert. Someone's coming. He grabbed a pack already filled with supplies and handed Jia a jacket. Put this on. We need to go now. They slipped out the back door as a small aircraft passed overhead. Jin led her into the dense forest, moving quickly but carefully to avoid leaving an obvious trail. That wasn't a standard Naveri ship, Jia whispered as they crouched behind large trees. Civilian transport, Jin agreed, trying not to attract attention. They traveled for 2 hours through rough terrain. Jia's wound ached, but she pushed through the pain. Jin noticed her discomfort and slowed their pace. Not much further, he promised. They reached a rocky hillside where Jin moved aside branches to reveal a narrow tunnel entrance. Inside, the air was cool and damp. Jin activated a small light. These tunnels run for miles, he explained. Old earth mining operation. Abandoned now. He led her deeper inside until they reached a wider chamber with basic supplies. Water, food, blankets. Your emergency hideout? Jia asked. Jin nodded. Old habits from war days. Always have a backup plan. He activated his communication device. Hyun, it's Jin. Remember that favor you owe me. I need it now. And bring the old team. While they waited, Jia tried to access the Naveri communication network using Jin's device. To her surprise, it worked. I can intercept their signals, she said. My royal access codes still work. Jin looked impressed. Can you tell what they're saying? Jia listened, her face growing pale. It's Captain Ta. He survived. He's telling his team they found traces of alien medical treatments in my escape pod. They know a human helped me. Jin cursed softly. Then they'll be looking for both of us. I'm sorry, Jia said. I've put you in danger. My choice, Jin replied. But we need help. 3 hours later, they heard footsteps in the tunnel. Jin raised his weapon, then lowered it as 4 people entered, 3 men and 1 woman, all carrying military-grade equipment. Jin, said the lead man, grinning. Still finding trouble, I see. Hyun, Jin greeted him. Meet Princess Jia of the Naveri Empire. She needs our help. The group stared at Jia, clearly shocked by her blue skin and royal bearing. A Naveri princess, the woman asked. You're joking. Half Naveri, half human, Jin corrected. And the rightful heir to the Naveri throne, if we can keep her alive and get her home. Hyun studied Jia carefully. Why should we risk our lives for Naveri royalty? Because, Jia said, standing tall despite her wound, if you help me take back my throne, I can change how the Empire treats humans forever. The room fell silent as the humans exchanged looks. Finally, Hyun nodded. Well, he said, that would be worth fighting for. We need a plan, Hyun said, spreading a digital map on the rocky floor of the cave. The small group gathered around it. These tunnels connect to an old landing pad 5 miles north. If we can get there, my ship can take us to the spaceport. No, Jia shook her head. The spaceport will be washed. We need their ship. The assassin's ship, Jin asked. Jia nodded. It's a royal vessel. It has clearance to return to Navari Prime without questions. Mina, the only woman in Hyun's team, looked skeptical. So we just walk up and take it? No, Jin said. We lure them away from it first. Over the next hour, they formed a plan. Han and Kwan, the other two members of Hyun's team, would create a distraction at an abandoned research station 10 miles away. Meanwhile, Hyun, Mina, Jin, and Jia would approach the assassin's ship. But we need proof of Queen Hana's plot, Jia insisted. Without evidence, my word alone won't be enough when we return. Can we capture one of them? Jin suggested. Make them talk. Jia thought for a moment. Captain Ta. He knows everything. If we can take him alive. As dawn broke, they put their plan into action. Han and Kwan left first, carrying signal amplifiers to mimic Navari life signs at the research station. 3 hours later, Jia watched on a small screen as 5 dots, representing the assassin's team, moved toward the false signal. They took the bait, Khan said, but they left 2 guards at the ship. 2 we can handle, Mina said, checking her weapon. They moved through the forest toward the clearing where the Navari ship had landed. Jin stayed close to Jia, watching for signs that her wound was troubling her. She moved carefully but showed no pain on her face. Your Navari training is impressive, Jin whispered as they paused behind thick bushes near the clearing. And your human adaptability is equally impressive, Jia replied with a small smile. The ship sat in the center of the clearing, its sleek design marking it as a royal scout vessel. 2 armed guards stood at the entrance ramp. Hyun signaled to Mina, who moved silently around the perimeter. From the opposite side, she threw a small device that landed near the ship and began emitting smoke. When the guards moved to investigate, Hyun fired 2 quick shots from his stun weapon. Both guards fell. Move, he ordered. They ran to the ship. Jin and Hyun dragged the unconscious guards inside while Mina secured the entrance. Jia went straight to the control panel. I can lock them out of the system, she said, her fingers flying over the controls. But we still need Ta. Hyun checked his scanner. 3 of them are heading back this way. They must have realized it was a trick. Good, Jin said. Let them come. They prepared a trap inside the ship, hiding in positions that would allow them to ambush the returning assassins. Jin insisted that Jia stay in the most protected spot, despite her protests. Your life is the most important, he reminded her. 20 minutes later, they heard voices outside. Captain Tai entered first, followed by 2 guards. The moment they were inside, Hyun sealed the door behind them. The fight was brief but violent. Mina and Hyun took down the 2 guards while Jin tackled Captain Ta. The Navari captain was stronger, but Jin was quicker. They struggled across the floor of the ship until Ta pinned Jin down, his hands around Jin's throat. Human filth, Ta growled. Suddenly, Tai stiffened and collapsed. Behind him stood Jia, holding a stun weapon. You were supposed to stay hidden, Jin gasped, catching his breath. And let you die. Jia helped him up. That would be poor repayment for saving my life. They secured Captain Ta to a chair as he regained consciousness. His eyes widened when he saw Jia. Princess, he spat. Queen Hana will have your head. No, Jia said calmly. She won't, because you're going to tell my father everything. Ta laughed. I'll die before I betray my queen. Jin stepped forward with a small device. This is a truth serum injector. Military grade. It won't kill you, but it will make lying uncomfortable. Fear flickered in Ta's eyes. You have a choice, Jia said. Help us willingly, or we use this. Either way, the truth comes out. Captain Ta looked from Jia to Jin, then to the device in Jin's hand. Slowly, his shoulders slumped. The queen has spies everywhere, he warned. Even if I talk, you'll never reach your father alive. We will, Jia said with determination, because we have something she doesn't expect. What's that? Tai asked. Jia glanced at Jin. Human ingenuity. The royal ship cut through space toward Naveri Prime. In the medical bay, Jin worked on a deep cut across his shoulder, a wound from their battle with Captain Ta's men. Jia entered quietly, watching as Jin applied medicine to his injury. "Let me help," she said, taking the bandage from his hand. Her blue fingers worked with surprising gentleness as she wrapped his shoulder. "Thank you," Jin said. "Where did you learn medical skills?" "From watching you this past week," Jia admitted. "I never learned such things in the palace. Royals don't do physical work." Jin smiled. "Quick learner." "We reach Naveri Prime in 6 hours," Jia said, her voice growing serious. "Hyun has Captain Ta's full confession recorded, but getting to my father won't be easy." "That's why he's not expecting humans in a royal ship," Jin reminded her. On the bridge, Hyun monitored the ship's controls while Mina studied Naveri's security protocols that Jia had shared. Han and Quan prepared weapons, non-lethal ones that wouldn't trigger the palace's weapons detectors. "We're being hailed," Hyun announced as they approached Naveri space. Jia took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Let me answer." The screen lit up with the face of a Naveri security officer. "Identify yourself," he demanded. "Royal vessel returning from Special Mission 7. Jia said, using codes only royals would know. "Princess Jia requesting direct clearance to the palace landing pad." The officer's eyes widened. "Princess, we were informed you died in a ship malfunction. As you can see, those reports were incorrect," Jia said calmly. "I must speak with my father immediately." Security code 97 Alpha. The code, one her father had created for emergencies, worked. The officer bowed his head. "Clearance granted, Your Highness. Welcome home." When the transmission ended, Jin stepped beside Jia. "Will that warning reach Queen Hana?" he asked. "Definitely," Jia said. "We need to move fast once we land." The royal palace of Naveri Prime glowed like a blue jewel as they approached. The ship landed smoothly on the private royal pad. Palace guards lined up to meet them, clearly surprised to see the princess they thought was dead. "Your Highness." The lead guard bowed. "We had no word of your survival." "I need to see my father immediately," Jia said, stepping from the ship with Jin beside her. The guard stared at Jin and the other humans with shock and suspicion. "These are my personal guards," Jia explained. "They saved my life." "Humans?" the guard asked in disbelief. "Yes," Jia said firmly. "And they are under my protection." The guard hesitated, then nodded. "The king is in his chambers. He has been very ill. The royal physicians say he has little time left." Jia's heart raced as they moved through the palace corridors. Naveri nobles stared openly at the humans walking boldly through their sacred halls. Outside the king's chamber, Queen Hana appeared, her face a mask of shock that quickly changed to a cold smile. "Jia," she said, "this is unexpected. We thought you died in that terrible accident." "It was no accident," Jia replied, "and I have proof." The queen's eyes darted to the humans, then back to Jia. "What are these creatures doing in the palace?" "They saved me when your assassins tried to kill me," Jia said. "And now they're helping me save my father." Hana's face hardened. "Your father is beyond saving. The royal physicians have tried everything." "Not everything," Jin said, stepping forward. He held up a small medical scanner. "I need to examine the king." "Preposterous," Hana hissed. "A human touching the king." "Mother." Prince Su appeared behind Hana. His face paled when he saw Jia. "Sister, you're alive." "Guards," Hana called. "Remove these humans from the palace immediately." Belay that came a weak voice from inside the chamber. The doors opened to reveal King Da, looking thin and gray, supported by 2 servants. Jia, my daughter. Father. Jia rushed to him, embracing him gently. You were right to be careful, King Da whispered. After you left, they increased the poison. I can feel death approaching. Jin stepped forward. Your Majesty, with your permission, I'd like to scan you. I believe I know what poison was used. The king looked at Jin with curiosity. A human healer. A human friend. Jia corrected. He saved my life. King Da nodded weakly. Then perhaps he can save mine as well. Queen Hana moved to object, but palace guards now surrounded her and Prince Su, as Hyun had quietly shown the captain of the guard Captain Ta's recorded confession. The truth, Jia told her father, is finally coming to light. In the king's private medical chamber, Jin worked quickly. 3 days had passed since their return to the palace. Queen Hana and Prince Su were under guard, awaiting judgment. Captain Ta's confession had revealed the full plot against the king and Princess Jia. King Da lay on a special bed, connected to Navari medical devices. Jin studied the readings, then compared them to his own scanner. It's a rare toxin from the border worlds. Jin explained to Jia and the royal physician. It mimics natural organ failure. That's why your doctors couldn't identify it. The royal physician, Dr. Min, looked skeptical. How would a human know what our best scientists couldn't discover? Because, Jin said patiently, humans had to develop antidotes to this poison during the border conflicts. Your people used it against us. Min's silver eyes widened in surprise. The Empire would never. Not officially, Jin interrupted. But rogue commanders did many things the royal court never knew about. Jia placed a hand on her father's arm. Can you help him? Jin nodded. I brought the antidote from my medical supplies. It will take time, but it should work. King Da, the weak, watched Jin with interest. You saved my daughter. Now you save me. Why help those who have treated your people as inferiors? Jin prepared the medication, because that's what humans do. We help when we can. And, the king prompted. And Jia showed me that Navari and humans don't have to be enemies. We could learn from each other instead. After Jin administered the antidote, he taught the royal physicians how to monitor the king's recovery. Within a day, color returned to the king's blue skin. By the 2nd day, he could sit up and speak clearly. Word spread through the palace. A human healer had saved the king when Navari medicine had failed. Nobles who had previously ignored Jia now approached her, curious about the humans who accompanied her. Is it true they live in wooden dwellings? One court lady asked. Some do, by choice, Jia explained. They value connection to their environment. And they make medicine from plants? Asked another noble. Jia nodded. They have technology too, but they also preserve traditional knowledge. It makes them adaptable. On the 3rd evening, King Da called for a special council meeting. Still recovering but much stronger, he sat on his throne. Jia stood at his right hand, with Jin and his team nearby, an unprecedented honor for humans in the royal court. My daughter was nearly killed because of her human blood, King Da announced to the assembled nobles. Yet it was humans who saved her life, and mine. Murmurs spread through the hall. For too long, we have seen humans as lesser beings. I believe this too. But I was wrong. The king gestured to Jin. This man possesses knowledge our scientists lack. His people have qualities we have forgotten. Adaptability, creativity, and compassion that extends even to those who have treated them poorly. Jia stepped forward. For generations, the Navari Empire has focused on technological advancement and genetic purity. We became powerful, but we lost something important. What could we possibly learn from humans? Asked an elderly noble. Jin answered, how to see problems differently. Your society values tradition and stability. Ours values innovation and change. Both approaches have strengths and weaknesses. King Da nodded. Which is why my daughter represents our best hope for the future. Her mixed heritage is not a weakness, as many believed. It is her greatest strength and could be ours. The council chamber fell silent as the king continued. Therefore, I name Princess Gia as my official heir. When I die, she will rule the Navari Empire. Shocked gasps filled the room. Such a declaration was unexpected, especially for someone of mixed blood. Furthermore, King Da said, I appoint Jin as the first human ambassador to the Navari court. It is time for our peoples to learn from each other. Gia looked at Jin, her silver-brown eyes meeting his dark ones. In the weeks since he had found her wounded in the forest, something had changed between them. Respect had grown into friendship, and friendship into something deeper. There will be resistance, she whispered to him as the nobles argued among themselves. There always is when things change, Jin replied. But change happens anyway. As they walked from the council chamber, many nobles bowed to Jia for the first time with genuine respect. Others still looked doubtful, but the tide was turning. They're starting to see you differently, Jin observed. They're starting to see themselves differently, Jia corrected. And that's much more important. 6 months passed since Jin saved King Da's life. The royal palace, once a place of cold beauty and rigid tradition, had changed. Human visitors now walked its halls. Trade agreements with Earth colonies were being discussed, and Princess Gia, once hidden away because of her mixed heritage, stood proudly as the king's heir. Today was special. The Great Hall was decorated with both Navari crystal flowers and earth plants. Nobles from all Navari worlds gathered alongside human representatives from Earth colonies. In her private chamber, Gia looked at herself in the mirror. Her formal royal gown combined Navari design with human elements, a symbol of her role as a bridge between worlds. The door opened, and her father entered. You look beautiful, King Da said, his health now fully restored. Your mother would be proud. Gia touched the golden pendant at her neck, her mother's pendant. Do you think she imagined this day? No, the king smiled. Even she could not have dreamed so big. A formal alliance between our peoples. And, he hesitated, the other ceremony. Gia felt her cheeks warm. The blue of her skin darkened slightly, the Navari equivalent of a blush. Are you still comfortable with that part, father? It took time, King Dai admitted. But Jin has proven himself worthy in ways no one could deny. And the court has seen how you look at each other. In the ambassador's quarters, Jin adjusted his formal clothes, half Navari style, half human military dress, designed to honor both worlds. Hyun entered, grinning. Never thought I'd see you in fancy clothes. Never thought I'd be in a royal palace, Jin replied. Life takes strange turns. Speaking of strange, Hyun said, the team and I have news. We're staying on Navari Prime. The new human embassy needs security staff who understand both cultures. Jin smiled. From fugitives to royal guards. Quite a promotion. All because you couldn't leave a wounded alien princess to die. Hyun shook his head. Your soft heart changed everything. A soft chime indicated it was time. Jin took a deep breath and headed toward the Great Hall. The ceremony began with King Da's formal announcement of the Human-Navari Alliance Treaty. Representatives from both species signed documents that would forever change their relationship. For too long, King Da said to the assembled crowd, we saw difference as weakness. We were wrong. Diversity brings strength, new ideas, new solutions. He gestured to where Jia and Jin stood side by side. No one demonstrates this better than my daughter and Ambassador Jin. Together, they have shown us a new path forward. Queen Hana and Prince Su had been banished to a distant Navari colony, stripped of their titles and power. Most of the court had accepted Jia as heir, seeing how her unique perspective strengthened the empire. A few traditionalists still objected, but they were now the minority. The alliance ceremony complete, the crowd waited for King Da to close the proceedings. Instead, he smiled. There is one more matter today, he announced. A personal one. Jia stepped forward, Jin beside her. They faced each other as the king continued. Throughout our history, the Nevari have never permitted marriage with other species. Today, that changes. Whispers spread through the hall. Some faces showed shock, others smiled in approval. Jin took Jia's hands in his. Their eyes met, her silver-brown eyes looking into his dark ones. The same look they had shared that first day in his cabin, when she'd realized not everything she'd been taught was true. I was left for dead, Jia said clearly, so all could hear. Abandoned because I was considered weak. Jin found me, not knowing who I was, and saved me because it was right. That is the strength of humanity, compassion that extends even to strangers and supposed enemies. Jin smiled. And I found the strength of the Nevari in you, determination, wisdom, and vision for a better future. Your mixed heritage isn't a weakness. It's precisely what both our peoples need. King Dai performed the ceremony that joined them as partners, a simple exchange of vows adapted from both cultures. When it was complete, the great hall erupted in applause, led by Hyun and his team. As Jia and Jin walked together down the center of the hall, she whispered, "From enemies to allies to partners. What's next?" Jin squeezed her hand gently. "The future. We'll build it together." Outside the palace, the 3 moons of Nevari Prime rose over the mountains. One glowed pink, like Earth's sunset, a perfect symbol for the new chapter beginning for both worlds.